to go. We're live.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to the Battle Hymnal. I am Graham Coffey. This is my esteemed producer and co-host, Josh Hancher. We are missing our other esteemed co-host, Nathan Lawrence, tonight, but we are going to do our best to break down Georgia's win over South Carolina without him. Lots of good stuff there. Lots of bad to look at as well. So kind of a perfect game for us on the format of this show, I think, to look at what went well and how it went well, and then also what could have gone better. All in all, if you walk away with a 45-16 win over a division opponent that's not Vanderbilt, I think you got to be happy about it. But Josh, why don't you kick us off with a couple plays that were big takeaways from you for this week?
Yeah, I'm going to show the Jackson drop, which is a strange one to go to, but I'll tell you why, because here he is. Two things. Kirby didn't take the foot off the gas at the end of the first half. He's passing the ball, trying to get some more points, even though he's up 28-10. Jackson put his hands on the ball, coughs it up. It was, right place, right time to make this play on the South Carolina secondary. But he made a good play, and I wish he'd come up with it. Wish we hadn't turned the ball over. It wasn't costly, But the next play you're going to see here is the very next time he touches the ball. So it's obviously in the second half. That was into the first half, and the defense shuts him out on a 3-and-out, and we got him backed up. And I was watching the game with my best friend Gator Hater, and he said, "Does anybody run punts back?" Well, sure enough, right in the second half, Kyrus, next time he touches the ball, takes it deep, sets us up for some more points. And I just love the fact that he's a leader, and he is he didn't let that get him down. He just came back and made a great play the next time he touched the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. That was awesome. The play that I would like to highlight is the Arian Smith touchdown. So we're here on the 31. We've been running the ball a lot, and Arian Smith gets in the game and just absolutely blows by the defensive back that's on him. The reason this is exciting is, A, he was one of the more heralded members of last year's recruiting class and has not been able to get on the field because he was hurt a lot in the offseason, and I believe he underwent surgery and has been rehabbing from it. But he has world-class track speed, and he's really kind of that Mecole Hardman type that can take the top off of the defense. And
was that his first touch of the season?
Yeah, first touch of the season, first reception as a Bulldog. It goes for a long touchdown, but to me it's like this is just one more thing that Todd Monken is putting on tape that's going to be a problem for defenses to deal with coming up in 2021 and coming up, I guess, for the rest of the season of 2020. And the receiving talent that Georgia has accumulated is absolutely disgusting, and I think now with JT Daniels under center, we're starting to see some of that talent really kind of show itself and emerge. And if he can be a guy that starts to become a consistent contributor, it's just going to open up more for Pickens and Burton and Jackson and the tight ends, and the offense is going to get really scary.
Well, so in our rundown, you highlighted this section as we ran the damn ball. Yep. And so I'm going to borrow this graphic from our friend Parker over at Stats of War on Twitter. He does kind of like the Battle Hymnal version of the TCU blog. So actually he's been doing it longer than us. So you can see in this simple, this is analytics box score. Georgia was dominant on the offensive side of the ball with a 68% rush success rate and 45% or 44% pass success rate. Those are great numbers, absolutely great numbers. The EPA was not great, but we didn't pass the ball a lot. But look at that rush EPA is off the charts good. And I'm going to show you some more PFF stuff on the rushing stats on here. Brent over at PFF and I believe he writes for UGAsports.com had some notes on that. I can't get it to come up here. I'm going to riff here for a second. Media player. There we go. Okay. You can see here that how good they were. I mean, it's ridiculously off the charts PFF grade for the running unit for UGA on Saturday night, and even Anthony Tresh, who's one of the big PFF guys, not just a Georgia guy. Georgia had the ball the fifth highest rate in FBS Week 13, and their running back side for the highest successful run rates versus a Power 5 team since 2015 at 79%. That is solid. So, they came in there with that game plan to run the ball and then pass whether they needed to, and they sure did that. And it was exciting. So now we've talked about a bunch of numbers. You guys want to see some plays. So, you want to look at clip 9? Is that what we're going?
I'll start with clip 9, which is, James Cook of all the backs last night, which, when we talk about the 4 backs, we're talking about Cook, Zamir White, McIntosh, and Dejan Edwards. Cook had the best night statistically. He had 6 carries for, I believe, 108 yards. So he came out to about 17 yards a carry. A lot of that came on that run right there off the right side, but there was a couple plays from him where it was just good to see him really kind of making the first guy miss and realizing some of that potential that we've all been tantalized by ever since we saw him sign as a high school senior. This right here, again, just good blocking on the outside, but he really does a good job of following those blocks down the line and then making one cut, and he's upfield, and he really runs just so effortlessly. But let's look at clip 16 as well.
All right. Sorry, let me do 16.
No, you're good. Or this is fine too.
This is kind of that drive I think that has clip 16 in it, where we just literally ran the ball down their throats. We didn't pass it one time.
Yeah, totally. Third drive of the game, we were already up 14-0, and the push that we got off the offensive line was really impressive last night. But also just the way that runs were finished.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that consistently this year. And the backs were finishing runs. But even McIntosh, who is a smaller back and is a little bit more of an elusive back, he was finishing runs by dragging defenders 3, 4, or 5 yards.
And the offensive linemen are getting off their blocks and pushing downfield, which is what we used to see with Chubb and Sony and Gurley. Just offensive linemen just giving every bit of effort to get as many yards and fall forward, which was awesome to see.
Yeah, and on that play right there, he busts a long one after finishing the run before, with that kind of aggression, and it was good to see those strong efforts rewarded and paid off. I also love on that clip right there that you just showed how excited JT Daniels is running behind the play with his
Oh, yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's good to see for sure. And
he saw this. I saw this on Saturday night. Just as soon as he sees it sprung, he's like, "Yes, got it." Just is awesome. Look at him back there. Love it.
And on that play in particular, the surge was good all night, but on that play in particular, I'm pretty sure by the time Zeus hit the hole, the O-line had driven back every South Carolina defender 2 to 3 yards, which is just nasty, clean, aggressive football. And if I'm not mistaken, I know he had the holding penalty on the outside on the screen, but I don't think we had any holding penalties. Maybe one holding penalty on the O-line all night, which is impressive when you're running the ball that much. But, that toss sweep you're showing there.
Okay. You want to do the toss sweep again? Good. All right.
I do, yeah. Just because I think
it's awesome.
It's that old school sort of run the damn ball mentality of Georgia football, and I don't know. Is it a huge aspect of the Todd Monken offense? Probably not, but seeing a toss play with a big number 69 coming around the edge, clearing blockers, where James Cook's running untouched to the house is exciting, and it's also dominant blocking to be able to run a toss play to the short side of the field on a second and goal play from 6 yards out and be untouched to the pylon. That is hard to do. There's a lot of bodies crammed into a little bit of space down there. So I thought it was very encouraging. And I tweeted a couple times last night the offensive line heard you talking shit. The royal you. And I mean, I think that's good. It's like I thought that there was an edge to those guys after the Mississippi State game.
Going back to that toss sweep, you guys talked about in preseason about Monken does things to set up something down the road. So, he just run, we were running the ball inside, and even showed James Cook running inside. So to run a toss sweep to the short side of the field definitely leveraged what we had been doing, kind of against itself on the put the defense at conflict. I've been seeing inside zone, inside runs to the wide side of the field, and then we just tossed it to the short side, and went, like you say, got to pulling, tackles getting out there and making the block. So I think that was, it's not something that's a huge part. We're not going to run a lot of toss sweeps, but it was something that he had set up and needed, and it worked, and it was successful, and scored a touchdown. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually a perfect segue. If we can look at clip 4, which is that first big pass play to Trey McKitty over the middle, but there's a really good kind of fake toss sweep action on this play right here. Zeus is going to start out to the outside, and McKitty is actually the sniffer on this play. So, yeah, you see the fake toss, and then those two linebackers bite down, and McKitty does a really good job of making that guy miss. But we talked a lot in the offseason about the Monken offense using this kind of sniffer position that we call it, but basically it's a fullback type of position. It's tight ends in Georgia's offense because we have a lot of good blocking tight ends, but you see those guys motioning across the line there. And, I mean, McKitty and Washington both did a great job last night blocking. Like, there was a couple of split zone plays where McKitty absolutely just blew up and sealed the lane for the running backs. But having him kind of adding that element to it of, like, yeah, he can block, but he can also catch a ball 20 yards downfield and make a guy miss for a 40, 45-yard gain. Like, that, again, like this kind of theme that I think we're talking about a little bit and started alluding to last week when JT Daniels made his debut, this offense is getting scary, and it's getting to like a pick your poison kind of part or spot. And, last night, even though Georgia ran the ball really well, like we never saw South Carolina like really, really come downhill with their safeties and move everybody tight into the box because the passing threat was established from the word go. And
yeah, here's that McKitty touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, like, how exciting was it just to see a drive where we had some good action to a tight end? And like, I want to shout out McKitty too because I feel like he has done a lot of dirty work this year, and I think that's his first touchdown on the season and one of maybe 3 or 4 catches he's had. But like, his work in the run game has been superb, and he is an NFL type of athlete, and the blocking that he does in the run game is probably going to end up getting him drafted. I hope it does. I'd love for him to come back another year, but he's just really been like a strong team player for us that I don't think we've talked about on this show much of it all, and I don't think the fan base has talked about because like we haven't seen his flashy plays, but he's made a lot of big plays happen for us throughout the year with the work in the trenches.
And we looked good on short yardage too, right?
Yeah, and that was, I mean, dude, like we've been really awful on those third and shorts where everyone in the building knew we were going to run. And last night, like we had multiple 3rd and 1s. I mean, this here on the first drive to Zeus really kind of set the tone. And how exciting was it to see a fullback on the field? That was Clay Webb, number 60, who was one of the top-rated centers in the country coming out of the state of Alabama a couple of years ago. And he looks pretty damn athletic picking up that line right there.
That sprung it. I don't know if he gets it without that play, without that block.
I mean, that's a big boy to be rolling downhill. I mean, he's all of probably 280. And then, yeah, there's another 3rd and 1. I think clip 14 was another 3rd and 1 to Zeus. But
clip 14?
Yeah, and I mean, on that advanced box score that you showed, I believe it was, I mean, our 3rd down percentage was 80%. We were 80% on 3rd downs. And if you do that, you will never lose a football game. well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, you could turn the ball over 9 times, but 80% success rate on third down, 80% conversion on third down is just disgusting.
Parker
and
tweeted.
We really didn't get a third down very many times. I don't think we had that many third downs on the night, but like for the last couple of years, I mean, really since 2017, every time we've seen Georgia in a third and medium or third and long situation, like, I don't know about you, but I've kind of had that spot where, like, my gut tightens up a little bit, and it's like, okay, like, here comes something stupid or bad, and we're about to punt the ball back. And the last 2 weeks, like, we've been really money on third downs. Against Mississippi State, we had way too many third and longs that would be sustainable over a long period of time, but, like, I don't think we really faced more than 1 or 2 third and longs on Saturday night against South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it was the picture of efficiency. We did everything we needed to. We ran the ball successfully. The short yardage success rate, for early down success rate, third down conversions. And those third down conversions are possible when you got 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s, when you're running the ball successfully on 1st and 2nd down. And that's the key to, being efficient on third down, is being successful on 1st and 2nd downs. So, and it's pretty cool to see Pickens still a huge part of the offense and energized, and he's electric. I know we've got everyone's a gaga over how many wide receivers we're talking about having on the field next year, but it's Pickens is he's a lightning rod of intrigue, if you will, to put it nicely. But it was exciting to see him. And it's still a part of the game. You got some plays for him, don't you?
Yeah, we've got clip 11 and then clip 13 after that. But with him, you're right. It's good to see him engaged, and he was actually very engaged blocking in the run game.
Yeah, he was.
But I mean, yeah, this play right here, like this kind of stop route, just reading the coverage. Brandon Sudge from the Maycraft, who's a really good guy and has been really good to us, tweeted out when that play happened. He was like, "George Pickens, are you Randy Moss?" Which kind of made me laugh a little bit. But like the body control there.
That's an NFL catch.
I mean, that's an NFL throw catch, exactly, 100%. And I think the scary thing about that is, like, give those two an entire off season to work with each other, because there's already a natural comfort level there. But that right there, that's just a simple little stop route. It's an option route. Daniels and Pickens both see that defensive back on the bottom backpedaling before the snap, and they know he's going to have a bunch of cushion. And he does a good job of getting a few yards after the catch and squeezing up in there. But, like, that's one of those things with him. Again, it's, if you play up tight on him, you're probably going to get burned. And if you don't, you're probably going to give up 6, 7 yard, 8 yard stop routes all day. So,
you guys talked about it in the Mississippi State game, where he was looking at the line and he just knew where he was going to go, and they had just they knew whether it's reps or whatever, they just know exactly what to do and get into a play that's going to be successful, and that was just awesome. And see him fight for that extra yard to get that first down on. That was a 2nd and 7, and the other was a 2nd and 16, where we're a little bit off schedule on offense, and who do you go to? George Pickens.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And it opens things up for everybody else. But the thing that I think we're seeing here is Todd Monken is creating a lot of problems, and he's creating a lot of situations where defenders and defensive coordinators are going to have to make choices that don't really have a good answer to them. It's either leave Pickens in single coverage and let him eat you up, or shade a safety over to him and let Karis Jackson and Jermaine Burton eat you up. It is drop guys out in pass coverage and try to keep the passing game in front of you, try to limit those explosive plays, but if you do that, you're going to get torn up by the run game. bring guys in to defend the run, you're going to get torn up by the pass game. So
you got to have the counterpunch. You have to have a counterpunch.
And Georgia hasn't had the counterpunch in many years. And I mean, truthfully, even in 2017, which was a great year, and we made that long run, but Georgia passed basically just enough to keep defenses honest.
We rushed the ball 61% of the plays in 2017.
Right, exactly. So, and I mean, we got to the Rose Bowl against Oklahoma, and that was a little bit of a different story, and that was a team that we could pass on a little bit better because they didn't have the caliber of defense that other teams in the SEC had at that year. But point is that what's setting up here is really exciting going down the road, and it's Georgia football, so you can never assume that anything good is going to happen, and there's plenty of chance that who knows what will happen between now and the start of the 2021 season. But I'm really, really hopeful that we see Daniels back with this set of receivers. And the other thing, too, is, I mean, this offensive line is still pretty young. It's like we're not losing a ton of pieces there. So I think the long-term outlook is really good and really exciting, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, all right. But we did have some not so great plays, right? We want to talk about some of the bad stuff we did.
Yeah. Let's look at you've got a couple of those sack plays queued up. Clip 10, I think, was the first one. But yeah, Daniels still looks a little bit skittish in the pocket at times. I mean, that was, I think, a busted assignment maybe on somebody's part.
Maybe McIntosh didn't chip when he was supposed to. I don't know who was.
Yeah, that would be my guess. Or I guess so. I mean,
this is where we get ripped apart on the football heads, where we don't know what we're talking about. But let's just look at it in slow motion. I mean, I don't know if you can put this on Daniels. This is definitely a missed assignment. See that he can't just ignore that guy.
McIntosh was supposed to chip that because, I mean, Cook is out there on a wheel route, or I think it was a wheel route out of the backfield. So yeah, I mean, that's not Cook's responsibility to grab him. So I would say that's probably on McIntosh. Schaefer picked up his guy, so that seems pretty obvious. I mean, Schaefer didn't do a great job of picking up his guy, but he did put a shoulder into him at least. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't really go on JT Daniels. But the next one here, this play.
Yeah, this is not great. This is not great.
I mean, he looks skittish here. And I mean, he's got a good pocket. And I think Stinchcomb even said that on the broadcast. He has a good pocket here. The play is still developing. And he has time, and he kind of bails out on the play and really runs himself right into the rush, because McClendon had a good steal on the South Carolina DN there. He had a good block. He wasn't coming inside on him, and Daniels pretty much created that sack. And it's if you're going to bail out right, you need to be planning to throw the ball away at that point. So
yeah, I mean, that's one of those that seemed like you got to have that clock in your head that you're going to hear on the broadcast a lot. I mean, that wasn't a 3 or 4 or 5 second clock, but I mean, he needed to get rid of that ball, because on 3rd and 4, they're coming.
Yeah, they are coming for sure, and I think it's one of those things. I wonder a little bit, because I believe that the play before that was when Jamari Sawyer got injured at left tackle. And so Xavier Truss came in for that play, and it kind of felt like maybe Daniels didn't trust that Truss was going to hold that block, because he bailed out from that side like he was getting rushed behind him on his blind side, and he wasn't, obviously. But I think that's another thing to mention. I mean, I know we're kind of talking about the bad stuff right now, but there was a lot of guys that rotated in on the offensive line. They all did a really good job, and I mean, it was nice to finally see Broderick Jones in a game as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to go total nerd analytics on me. You can follow me on Twitter if you want that. But, that sack was bad because, you're trying to win the field position, and that's an important stat you want to win. I mean, every coach is going to tell you, and special teams matter. So if you're giving up 12 yards on a punt, even if he just throws it away, that's the difference between, a fair catch at the 22 or a fair catch at the 12 or 13-yard line, and that can, flip the field on the next drive. So that's one he needed to throw away. Even if he doesn't scramble out, doesn't even make an athletic play, if he just makes a heady quarterback play, it could possibly, in a game that's closer, it could be, a momentum changer.
Yeah, 100%.
I got clip 23. You ready to do that one?
Yeah, let's look at that. So
underthrown ball.
Yeah, the underthrown ball to Burton here. Burton comes in motion and takes off on this little wheel route, and if he throws that out to him, it's a touchdown, 100%. I think at one point in here we'll be able to, and I mean that's Pickens right there though. I mean Pickens draws that double coverage, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier. But yeah, do we have Can we go back to the start of that play? Because I'm curious to see. In real time, it looked a little bit like when he went to throw that ball, like he kind of just did not push off that back foot, which is the knee that was injured. Yeah, I mean, see how lazily he kind of steps into that? Like he's not driving off that back leg. That back leg is already like bent, and he's basically just kind of throwing all hips and arms there, and his body's pretty open, and it's not great mechanics.
It's like trying to slap a 3-wood out there in the short par 4.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think it's one of those things like we saw the Arian Smith throw that we showed earlier was perfect mechanics, and he stepped into the ball and he delivered it on time and accurately. And I think I really do think he's still like learning to trust that knee again. And against Mississippi State, we saw the same thing where he underthrew a deep ball earlier, and then later on, yeah, I mean, like look at this drive. Yeah, that's way better. And later on in the game against Mississippi State, like he kind of changed that back around and started pushing off that leg. So hopefully that's something that gets a little bit better as he gets confident in that knee again. But we have yet to see him overthrow a deep ball. And if you are a fan of Georgia and have watched the 2020 season,
I DVR'd it. Don't tell me what happens.
Fair enough. Don't watch the Florida game, all right? Yeah, so I mean I think that was kind of the offense. There wasn't much to complain about. I've heard some people complain about the fact that Kirby didn't punch it in on the last drive. To me, it's
come on, game's over.
Yeah, the game's over. First of all, second of all, like we're not in a playoff hunt, so style points don't matter.
I mean, he wasn't telling Edwards to go down. But he got the first down. I mean, like he didn't lay down. He's like that was his chance to score. Right. And once at that point you've got the clock. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get into victory formation. And what happens if we try to run the ball right there and somebody tears an ACL on the line? I mean, that's just that's why I love to see these plays. Where they Kylie, it was a cover that I was watching for the damn tally site thing. I think it was an Oklahoma State game where they ran. He laid down. He took a knee late in that game that would have given the cover. But again, those kickoffs and all those plays, those matter. They add up. Someone gets hurt on a kickoff play just because you're getting a meaningless touchdown. I really, 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 really like those plays, and they're becoming more and more. Of course, the Falcons screwed it up, but. But I mean, I just think it's a heady play, and I don't mind one bit that we didn't, run it in there. I don't care what the score was. You play to win the game. Yeah,
100%. I mean, I also think it was Brett Bielema when they played Texas in one of the bowl games. Maybe what's the one in San Antonio? The Alamo Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the Alamo Bowl. Maybe it was just like the Heart of Texas Bowl, whatever the hell it was. But back when he was
the Valero Bowl,
the Poulan Weed Eaters. But yeah, when he was at Arkansas with Pittman still there was the year they like beat the shit out of Texas in their bowl game, and they ran the ball down and kneeled it out on the one, and Bielema said that ending the game with a knee on the one is borderline erotic. So I am always a fan of kneeling the ball down, especially when it's on the other team's 1-yard line, because to me, pity is more insulting than like vitriol and anger. So
exactly.
was taken for last year, and we'll move on.
We got some defense. Normally we don't get to the defense, but we got some defensive plays.
Totally. And I mean, this is kind of the bad on defense. So the biggest thing that I saw was tackling, and we've got a few plays queued up. We've got a missed tackle right here by Nolan Smith. And credit, first of all, to Kevin Harris especially, but all the South Carolina backs, because those guys did run really, really, really hard. But I'm sorry, that wasn't Nolan Smith. That was Christopher Smith. But, yeah, like, you can't tackle an SEC running back that high. Like, you cannot do that. That's not going to work out in your favor. We've got another missed tackle, I believe, coming up right here on the Nick Muse pass. Yeah, that's Nolan Smith right there. Or no, that was Channing Tindall. Yeah, I mean, that to me is just, I know it's the fourth quarter of the game. I know we're kicking ass and all that, but, like, it's,
you got to make those plays to get more playing time.
The championship football teams make those plays, and it's inexcusable. And Channing Tindall's a guy that's, like, pushing for a starting role and getting more playing time. And that's
here it is. Here's our favorite player right here. Oh.
Yeah, Quay Walker, what are you doing, dude? And yeah, that linebacking core, it's tight position battles, and those guys are stacked deep, and there's really good talent in that room, and that's the type of thing that when they come in and turn on the film on Monday, like, that's how starting jobs get lost and won right there, is guys not making routine plays, and tackling in space is pretty much the whole key to modern college football with spread offenses and all that we've seen.
I want to give a shout out to the By the Numbers podcast with Tug and Brent from PFF. And I've actually got some PFF grades up here, and this is the advanced stats that you get as a subscription. So if I'm getting in trouble if I'm showing these off, sue me. Or see Jackal Bell Curve. We don't have any money anyways. But no, those guys are great. I've talked to Brent and Tug on Twitter a lot, and this is, this is sorted by linebackers, and I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to leave it up here for a little while, so maybe you can zoom in or whatever. But every single linebacker in coverage has a sub 70 grade, and we really the linebackers. We just saw a couple plays where they're missing tackles. And I'm going to show this stat right here, and it kind of goes along the same lines as more PFF stats. And this is, let's see, Quay has 10 targets, 9 receptions. Nakobe Dean has 20 targets and 20 receptions for 270 yards. Monty Rice has 21 targets and 21 receptions. I mean, those guys are getting beat in coverage, and it's, South Carolina wasn't able to exploit it, but certainly the teams, Florida and Alabama, have targeted those positions, and we got to get better. I don't know if that's not in their skill set, that they were run stoppers, or they've got to just got to retool to tackle these guys on wheel routes and underneath passes and stuff like that. And I think we have some more plays. Do we? No, we don't really have any more plays. But those, if you check out the PFF stats, they're pretty awesome. But you can really dig deep and just see that we've got holes in that defense that need to improve.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the Senator Blusarski, our guy, with his blog, he posted a quote from Smart this week, kind of talking about how he's sort of starting to weigh, like, what's better? Should I be preaching this havoc rate, or should I be preaching, containment, basically, and that bend but don't break style of defense that we're seeing more and more? And I think it's a tough question, and I'm glad that I don't have to answer it because I don't get paid money for that. But I do think that Georgia's got to look at that in the offseason, because the linebackers have just been a massive liability in pass coverage. And if you have decent running backs and tight ends and a quarterback that can deliver it, like, there's a game plan that's been laid out there by Florida to beat Georgia. And I think Florida's been a really good tackling football team under Kirby Smart, and maybe that there wasn't as much practicing of that and stressing of that last year during the offseason, and so we'll see. But yeah, that run on first down from their own 1 yard line was like really disappointing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I thought we were gonna. I was looking for a pick six, short field, something, and then we just gave up a drive. It was, we're nitpicking here because it was a great night. And here's the Aziz strip sack right here.
Yeah, the Aziz strip sack was awesome. And I mean, in general, I think that's the thing that was one of my big takeaways from the game. Oh, that wasn't Aziz. That was Adam Anderson, actually.
Oh, right.
No, you're good. But one of my big takeaways from the game is just like there's been all of this pass rush potential that's been recruited to Athens, particularly at the outside linebacker spot over the last 3 years. And this was like the game that I feel like the message board dream game from that group of pass rushers, just because Jermaine Johnson, Channing Tindall, Aziz Ojolari, and Adam Anderson all had sacks. Nolan Smith had some good moments, some good pressures. I think there was one time that kind of was a sack, but the quarterback basically got back to the line of scrimmage, so he didn't get credited for the sack. But that was the pass rushing last night was as good as we've seen from Georgia on a consistent down-by-down basis all season. And then, the Tyson Campbell
back-to-back plays.
Yeah, the suplex followed by the interception was pretty awesome. I feel like he's had a rough year, honestly, and he's a really talented player, but that was a really good instinctual play by him. He peeled off of his man, looked at the quarterback's eyes, and dropped back and intercepted it. And that's kind of always been the missing piece with him is he's an incredible athlete and he's a great physical specimen and talent, but he hasn't always been the most instinctive player. And if he can develop that piece of his game, he'll go very far in the NFL. So good for him on that. All right, we're out of plays. Do you have any big picture takeaways from this game in general?
Well, it seems like we're getting healthier, and healthier means more depth, and we're clearly the better team. So it was exciting to see us execute on all the phases of the game, and everybody got in. It's a feel good game. It was a get right game, and that's what we wanted to see, and we got it. So it was fun. It was, and I've enjoyed these games just to relax a little bit. Certainly you want to be playing with all on the line, but having fun with you guys on the Battle Hymnal and stuff, it's it's fun. The guys, we were playing better, and it's good to see because there's been a lot of pressure, and this is going to make us better for next year. I mean, obviously, I'm over the moon excited about the potential on offense with the wide receivers running back. I mean, we're loaded, and that's the part that's everyone's frustrated. We are loaded, and we just have to get over the hump.
Yeah, no.
If you can't see that we're headed that way, whatever, you can be negative, but I'm excited.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for me, I think that was the most fun I've had watching a Georgia football game, probably since 2018. This year and a lot of last year just always felt like such a struggle and a slog on the offensive side of the ball.
I'm going to take us out as we continue to talk a little bit on this 9-minute drive to end the game.
Yeah, please. Yeah, on the Dejan Edwards show.
Plus, I can drink my adult beverage without being on camera.
There you go. Yeah, and I mean, Fraser Hudson gets a carry in here as well, which we were joking on Twitter earlier today. But if you see Fraser Hudson on the field and you are an opponent, that is a good sign that your last been thoroughly killed.
That was a good tweet.
Thank you. But yeah, I think it was a fun game. It was exciting to see all the potential and a lot of realized potential, honestly, of these guys that we've been following and we've watched be recruited to Athens, and finally we have a quarterback that can kind of help them display their talents. But more than anything, I think credit should go to Kirby Smart and to all the players for keeping this team engaged. There's a lot of teams right now that have a lot of guys opting out. There's a lot of teams right now where guys have kind of got to the stage of the season where, they're tired, and I understand it. Like, it's been a long year. 2020 has sucked, and these guys, in a lot of cases, haven't been able to see their families, and they haven't been able to do a lot of the things that they love outside of football. And Kirby's managed to keep these guys engaged and keep them playing hard and keep them improving every week. And this team has gotten a lot better from game one to now. And in his press conference last night, Smart said that, you know, him and Monken made the decision earlier this season that they were going to invest in some young talent on offense early and hope that that would pay dividends later on down the road as they gained experience. And that's what's happened. So I am in a place where it's like I haven't felt as good about a Georgia offensive coordinator as I do Todd Monken at any point in my lifetime, honestly. So I hope we keep him. I hope we can keep this core and nucleus together. But it was good to see this kind of effort because Georgia could have come out there and played a lazy-ass game and still won by 10 or 17 points, and they didn't, and they took it personal. And I think as a fan, like, last year's loss to South Carolina really sucked, and it was good to see those guys have the same amount of emotion about it that I think a lot of us do and want that revenge and go and get the revenge.
All right. Well, that was a fun show, fun game. We miss Nathan, but if you like us, please retweet us and follow us on Twitter, Nathan J. Lawrence at Nathan J. Lawrence, and also at the Chapel Bell Curve or Chapel Bell Curve. Graham is at Dog Out West. I am dog_stats on Twitter. Please subscribe to the Chapel Bell Curve podcast. Consider being a Patreon member that supports the Dog for Putts initiative, and we get on the Discord a lot. We share videos, stats, breakdowns, you know, fun stuff. It's fun. That's what you get for being part of the Chapel Bell Patreon. And you know, thanks to Dog Sports for putting us up. You can read Graham on dogsports.com. You can read my stats stuff on bulldogillustrated.com. And until I guess we're gonna do a Vandy preview. I don't really might be a shorter one maybe. I don't know. So, what do you think the line's gonna be?
I'm gonna say 35, 36. I mean, Mason got fired today, so.
Yeah, 32, 31. I don't know. It's going to be bad. So maybe brighter days are ahead for Vanderbilt.
Or maybe not.
Or maybe not. All right. Well, until then, I just covered myself up on the camera. Thanks for watching. And you got anything else, Graham, before I take us out?
Thank you for keeping us organized and putting all these plays together, and thank Nathan and Justin for bringing us on a Chapel Bell Curve and letting us have the fun that we do. And go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
But,